The House passed the big, beautiful bill. Now it heads to the Senate. Listen to what Senator Ron Johnson had to say about the big, beautiful bill.
This is our moment. We've witnessed an unprecedented level of increased spending, 58% since 2019, other than World War II. This is our only chance to reset that to a reasonable pre-pandemic level of spending.
And how many other Republican senators do you think share your concerns and are willing to make major changes to this bill?
I think we have enough to stop the process until the president gets serious about spending reduction and reducing the deficit.
We need Gerry Baker, and he's here. Gerry, I hear that the increased SALT deduction in the Senate is not popular in the Senate. It seems like it's on the chopping block.
Very much so. There's lots of things about that bill that were not going to survive scrutiny in the Senate. You just heard Senator Johnson there talk. There's at least probably half a dozen Republican senators who want to take a very different tack, particularly with regard to deficit reduction. On SALT, we know, I mean, one of the phenomena, obviously, is that the reason that the SALT deduction got back in and in fact was quadrupled in the House bill is because of all of those Republicans in New York and California. Yeah. Well, there are no Republicans from New York and California in any of the, or indeed in any of the big states in the Senate. Yeah. So they've got no political interest in doing it whatsoever. In fact, if you look at all of the big spending states, all of the high tax states, they're all represented by 2 Democrats. So that's one political reason why that's not going to happen. The bigger and more important economic reason is it's very bad policy, as we know. It subsidizes those high tax states to be profligate, to be spendthrift, by essentially compensating them with federal tax relief. It's a terrible measure, and I think it will
but the one thing
at least be reduced.
One area that looks likely to go through is tax breaks for businesses and lower taxes on businesses. That's not likely to be challenged in the Senate, is it?
No, that part won't be, but it will have to be looked at in the broader context of what this bill does to the deficit, right? I mean, I think that's so yes, those kind of tax measures, the basic tax measures. I think it's interesting that some of those, what's got overlooked slightly is the House bill does include actually an effective tax increase on higher taxpayers because they're reintroducing deduction limits, the old Pease limits that we used to call them. That will push up taxes. So there are some tax increases there, in addition to the minimal spending cuts. But the overall effect of the bill, as we know, is to, according to various estimates, to increase the deficit over 10 years by $2 to $3 trillion. People like Ron Johnson, people like Rand Paul have made it very clear that they're not prepared to accept that. And yeah, you can expect significant changes.
I was going to say, I don't understand why they didn't move to higher taxes on the very, very wealthy. That would be politically expedient. It would go down well with everybody except David Bahnsen.
Well, and me too. I'm with David on this. And not only because I think it would be bad policy, those people are already paying high rates of tax, 37% top rate of tax. Again, if you're lucky enough to live in Florida and Texas, you're not paying an income tax, but you are still paying other taxes too. But the other problem, of course, Stuart, is that raises minimal amounts in terms of the overall effect on the, yes, you can raise the top rate by a couple of percentage
I just don't
points.
want anybody in our audience to think that I would want higher taxes on wealthy people. I'm just saying it would be politically expedient. That's all I'm saying.
It actually wouldn't be, because they wouldn't get the Republican votes for it. If Republicans can't be counted on to not raise your taxes, then what good are they at all?
Okay. Now, I'll take this an opportunity to move on, change the subject. Gerry, I want you to listen to what Trump has to say about Putin's handling of peace talks with Ukraine. Roll that tape.
I'm not happy with what Putin's doing. He's killing a lot of people, and I don't know what the hell happened to Putin.
You've talked before about putting more sanctions on Russia. Is that something you're considering more serious?
Absolutely. He's killing a lot of people. I don't know what's wrong with him. What the hell happened to him, right? He's killing a lot of people. I'm not happy about that.
Okay, Gerry, the big question. If you do put sanctions on Putin, does it change his behaviour?
What the hell happened to him, Stuart? I mean, he was this peace-loving, decent man who, loves humans and cats and dogs and all this kind of stuff. And suddenly, somehow, we've just discovered in the last week that he's killing people. Look, the sanctions clearly haven't had the effect that we wanted them to have. It does sound as though the president's exasperation, because he did think he had a deal, he thought he, could bring them together to get a ceasefire. Thankfully, the president's exasperation has reached a point where he is turning on Putin, and we may have to have tougher sanctions. He's been repeatedly threatening that if Putin didn't move. Putin is seizing the opportunity to, press his advantage, press his case. He sees weakness in Ukraine, obviously, but he sees a U.S. administration that's certainly not been too critical of him, so he's seizing that advantage and killing more people than he's killed in the past, rather than starting to kill people, as the president suggests. And I think we're going to see some tougher sanctions now.
A couple of guys with British accents would better raise this question. King Charles opens Canada's Parliament today in Ottawa. There's a diplomatic dance going on. Prime Minister Carney wants British support in his struggle with America. King Charles has to be diplomatic with his friend Donald Trump. It's a three-way diplomatic dance. How do you think it's going down?
Yeah, kings in America, they haven't ended very well. So it hasn't ended very well for them. So that he probably wants to tread very carefully. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Look, he is the king of Canada. Canada is part of the British Commonwealth, and he's the head of state. And so, of course, and by the way, he has given subtle signals over the last couple of months when Canada's been in this struggle with President Trump, being prominently there for Mark Carney when he visited the UK. But yes, first of all, he has no political role. He can't get involved in politics. The British government under Keir Starmer is seeking a good relationship with Donald Trump, and so far has had, negotiated a trade deal. So he has to be very, very careful.
I just wonder if Prince Harry will not show up, but turn up in the script somewhere. You never know, Gerry.
Bound to. I would say it's a certain
I think Trump will raise it too. Gerry, you're all right. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Stuart.